Sure, sure.
Okay. So, a very good morning to all participants joining us today from Europe, and good afternoon to those from Asia and Africa region. My name is Suchitra Upare, and I'm the coordinator. I welcome all to the webinar series organized by the FAO supported initiative, the Global Network for Capacity Building to increase access of small scale fisheries to financial services, called the CAFI-SSF network. And we are organizing this webinar in association with our Asia Pacific Nodal regional partner, APRICA, that is the Asia Pacific Rural and Agricultural Credit Association. The topic for today's discussion is role of fish farmers, producer organizations in facilitating inclusive financial services for small-scale fisheries. The network's major objective is to promote and facilitate dialogue, ideas, and solutions for capacity building programs aimed at policymakers and financial service providers to foster their ability to design, deliver, and implement suitable financial services, particularly for the provision of credit, microfinance, and insurance services to small-scale fisheries and aquaculture producers across regions. The CAFI-SSF network supports the development of capacity building materials and promotes sharing of experiences and good management practices amongst the stakeholders associated with fisheries. Some of the recently developed material through the network is the brochure on financing fisheries in Africa, case studies from United Republic of Tanzania, Zambia, and also a brochure on main study findings of a survey held amongst financial service providers in Africa about their supply of services to SSF within the region. The network has also supported Africa and its member organization in organizing a stakeholder discussion prior to preparing a policy brief document on financing small-scale fisheries in the Philippines. We continue to disseminate this information through our CAFI-SSF LinkedIn page, as well as through the Rural Finance and Investment Learning Center of the FAO. The network has organized knowledge sharing sessions on guidelines for microfinance, credit, and insurance in support of small-scale fisheries. This may be accessed on our CAFI-SSF network YouTube channel. Beginning this year, as we celebrate the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries, called the IAFA 2022, which has brought forth the focus on small-scale fisheries. This includes both the marine and inland water capture fisheries and aquaculture. As you all know, SSF contributes to provide nutrition for local, national, regional, and international markets and generates income to support local and national economies. The small in scale and big in value economic activity is predominant in the Asia region, which supports an estimated 85% of primary sector workers engaged in fishery and aquaculture activities, followed by 9% in Africa region, according to FAO 2020. And majority are small scale in operations. The small scale fishery producers in general do not have the volume in individual capacity to get the benefits of economies of scale, as there are several intermediaries in the fish value chain. The input cost is another limiting constraint in addition to the complex and dynamic business activities, coupled with the barrier of working capital costs. To overcome the constraint and tap the potential of small-scale fish producers, different forms of collectives have evolved across the regions and are assumed to provide SSF, that is the small-scale fisheries, better information on technology, investments, and market opportunities. According to FAO, farmers and fish farmer producer organizations are essential institutions for the empowerment, poverty elevation, and advancement of fishers, fish farmers, and rural poor. As you all know, India has ranked the second in world in terms of world fish production during 2019-2020, contributing to about 14.1 million tons in fish production, mostly contributed through the small-scale fisheries. The country has about 28 million fishermen population. Exports that are worth so far has been $6,678 million, and it has exported about 1.3 million tons of fish and fisheries products. India has the largest microfinance and credit programs that has been implemented by NABARD and supports large number of cooperatives through the NCDC, resulting in the strengthening of cooperative sector with 21 state-level societies, 132 district-level societies, and 21,741 primary societies with membership of about 3.35 million members. The Assam Rural Infrastructure and Agricultural Services, which is the ARIAS, has also enhanced fish productivity and supported FFPOs with the support of World Bank. It is in lieu of this, the CAFI-SSF network has planned this webinar and focused to have a discussion to bring forth how these institutions have played a great role in developing fisheries and aquaculture in India. Therefore, that's why we are sharing these their experiences of best practices, development process, and lessons learned through this webinar for enhancing the capacities and knowledge sharing so that other countries can also learn and it can also be scaled. So with this, I would like to, without taking much of the time, I would like to begin the webinar session. And I would like to introduce you all to the chief guest for today's program. And that is Dr. Raymon VanAnrooy. He has agreed to join this discussion in spite of his very busy schedule today. Thank you so much, Dr. Raymon. So Dr. Raymon has been a senior fisheries officer, and he has been working for the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations since 2000. He is based in Vietnam. He was based in Vietnam, Italy, Turkey, and Barbados, as well as Belize, and is now posted in Italy. Since January 2018, Dr. Raymon is working at the FAO's Fishing Operations and Technology branch. His main areas of expertise are in fisheries development and investment, techno-economic assessment of fishing fleet performance, safety in fisheries, emergency assistance, and fisheries microfinance, credit, and insurance services. Dr. Raymon has a master's degree from Wageningen Agriculture University, Netherlands, in rural development economics with specialization in aquaculture and fisheries. And he has done his doctorate from Madison University in fisheries product marketing. So Dr. Raymon, over to you for the small in scale and big in fishery, big in value.
Thank you very much, Suchitra, and thank you very much, Dr. Prasun. Very nice and long introduction. Thank you, appreciate that. But let me welcome you all this afternoon on behalf also of FEO. And thank you again, Suchitra, for giving me a few minutes on the agenda of this important webinar today to discuss the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture 2022. I'll try to give you some background on the IAFA 2022 and explain the objectives and the action plan a bit more. Let's see. I should go to the next slide, but somehow it's not working. Okay, let me see. Stop share. Oh yeah, now it works. Okay, sorry for this. So IAFA 2022 is the process of something that started already in the early years of this millennium with the development of the so-called small-scale fisheries guidelines. The small-scale fisheries guidelines, the full name is Voluntary Guidelines for Securing Sustainable Small-Scale Fisheries in the Context of Food Security and Poverty Eradication. They got adopted worldwide in 2014. Following that, in 2016, there was a group of countries that proposed an international year on artisanal fisheries and aquaculture. And the United Nations General Assembly was listening to that and declared 2022 as the International Year of Fisheries and Aquaculture. One of the reasons for doing so because there was a lot of evidence about the importance of small-scale fisheries already at that time. And the recent report on eliminating hidden harvests confirms these that information, that small-scale fisheries is so important. Suchitra already mentioned a bit about it. The latest information worldwide says that small-scale fisheries contribute about 40% to the global catches, so that is substantial. 90% of the people employed in global capture fisheries value chains are actually small-scale fisheries related. There are 45 million women who participate in small-scale fisheries, and many of them are also involved in subsistence fisheries activities. And worldwide, we estimate that 492 million people, so that's really a lot, partially depend on small-scale fisheries for their livelihoods. So as you can see, it is really important in terms of numbers, but if you also then look at what they really catch, small-scale fishers, is often they catch this very small fish that are especially nutritious and found really abundant in these landings of small-scale fishers. The objectives of IAFA 2022 are two major objectives, are to increase the awareness and understanding and support the sustainable development of small-scale artisanal fisheries and aquaculture, to contribute to food security, nutrition, and poverty eradication, and to promote the collaboration among small-scale fishers, fish farmers, government officials, and others to strengthen their capacity to enhance fisheries and aquaculture sustainability worldwide, as well as social development and well-being. These are lots of words, of course, but what is really meant is to promote and strengthen small-scale fisheries. There was established a global or international steering committee composed of country representatives of many different countries, and there are 2 countries in Asia participating in that international steering committee. That's Indonesia and Thailand, and FVO provides the secretariat. So this steering committee developed the so-called global action plan, and this global action plan has 7 pillars under which work is taking place. And these pillars, they promote environmental, economic, and social sustainability, governance of fisheries, gender equality, food security, and resilience towards climate change and natural disasters, and so that affects the sector. So what is clear from all this, from this action plan and everything what is being done under it, is that financial service providers and farmers, fish farmers and fishers producers organizations play clear roles in all these different pillars. Of course, a lot in terms of economic and social sustainability, but also in the other aspects, producer organizations and financial service providers play a key role, and that is well recognized also if you see that on the IAFA website. Lots of activities are organized under the IAFA banner in this international year. And if you are interested to organize activities linked to IAFA, please visit the website. There are people also available in the secretariat and from the partners organizations to help you organize IAFA activities. So please get involved. I would like to show you one recent article, what was, I think, just published a couple of weeks ago. There was an interview with Dr. Prasun, Kumar, who is here in the meeting today. A very interesting article, and I really invite you to read it. And my final words on this short presentation is that the CAFI-SSF network is organizing various activities this year that are linked to the IAFA 2022 celebration. So please keep an eye on your email and LinkedIn page for more activities to come, because there's a lot taking place. So I would like to thank you for your attention to this short overview, and I wish you a beautiful IAFA 2022 and a very fruitful webinar. Good luck, and I'm available for any questions afterwards.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Raymon, for giving us an overview of IAFA and talking to us about the 7 pillars and how each organization can get involved in that. So thank you once again for that, for the small in scale and big in value orientation. So now we will move on to the next presentation, and I would like to introduce you all to Dr. K. Palanisamy. Dr. Palanisamy is the former general manager from National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, that is the NABARD. Dr. Palanisamy has over 3 decades of professional experience in rural credit, microfinance policy and planning, project appraisal, monitoring and evaluation, climate change, financial inclusion, producer collectives in farm and non-farm sector, and rural infrastructure. And he has worked in various capacities across India. He represented NABARD in National Fisheries Development Board governing body, the COP meetings, and in various national and international committees pertaining to fisheries policy planning, financing, and climate change. He also held additional responsibility of Senior Vice President of NAPCONS, which is the subsidiary of NABARD, and has dealt with consultancy assignments. He has worked as District Development Manager of Nagapattinam District of Tamil Nadu and was involved closely in the relief and rehabilitation of the districts when it was ravaged by the Indian Ocean tsunami during December 2004. He has published many papers and co-authored a book on technical appraisal manual for shrimp and freshwater prawn hatcheries. Dr. Palanisamy holds a PhD in mariculture from the Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute, Cochin, and is a member of many professional bodies related to agriculture, fisheries, and banking. So over to you, Dr. Palanisamy, for the role of NABARD in financing fisheries in India.
Yeah, good day to all of you. Thank you, Suchitra, for your nice introduction. I'm happy to be associated with this. I'm audible, no?
Yes.
Yeah. Happy to be associated with this event, and then in fact it's a privilege to be associated with the FI, especially dealing with the financial access to the small scale and artisanal fishers, which are the vulnerable group of the fishery sector. The sector itself is very much vulnerable, and then the artisanal fishermen or fishers are the most vulnerable in view of various biotic or abiotic and then managerial social issues. So I'll just going through my presentation, and then I'll be available for any my presentation is visible now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm available for any further discussions. I want to introduce what the NABARD and its role in developing the fisheries sector. So this just I want to share that the broad network of the banking infrastructure or network in India, where we can see RBI is the, of course, the central bank of the country, and then NABARD was for some time was few departments part of Reserve Bank of India. Subsequently, to give more focus for agriculture and rural development issues, yeah, it was carved out of RBI and then formed a separate entity by an act of parliament. So, that's why I call NABARD as an apex developmental finance institution in India. So there are a class of banks called commercial banks, and then cooperative banks. And commercial banks, we can have public sector banks, and then private sector banks, and then foreign banks operating in India, and then the regional rural banks, which are more focused in a state. And then, of course, nowadays, some regional rural banks are covering one or more states also because of the reorganization of the states. And then there is urban cooperative banks. And then there is a cooperative banking system where there is a state level cooperative bank, and then each state level cooperative bank is having it's a federated structure. There is a district level central cooperative bank, and then there are primary agricultural cooperative societies, which are about 93,000. There are about 6 lakh villages in India. So every 6 village in India is covered by a primary agricultural credit society. In addition to that, and there are non-bank finance companies, there are NBFCs, and then NBFC MFIs, that is microfinance institutions, which are classified as NBFCs, and then MFIs, pure microfinance institutions, and then there are new class of banks called small finance banks. So in addition to that, these banks, in addition to that physical infrastructure available, nowadays a lot of thrust is given for digital financial inclusion, and then a lot of efforts being made for digital financial more than the brick and mortar kind of financial inclusion, where the online banking, and then banking correspondence, and then micro ATMs. So these are all the networks available for making financial inclusion, financial services available to the last mile customers of the banking sector. So NABARD is a Apex Development Finance Institution. As I already told, it's an established by an act of Parliament, and the vision of the bank is Development Bank of the Nation for fostering rural prosperity. And then the mission of NABARD, you can see it's promoting sustainable and equitable agricultural development, and then financial inclusion, and then institutional development, and then so on and so forth. And NABARD is operating with its head office in Mumbai, and then 31 regional offices. That means all the states, there is a regional office covered. And then at the district level also, we have officers available at the district development managers, there are about 400 and odd district development managers covering about 700 districts. And then we have 4 training establishments for both in-house training and also for the training the banking fraternity, both nationally and even international bankers also being trained from other countries also. We are able to provide training. And in addition to that, over a period of time, NABARD has formed different subsidiaries also. There are now 7 subsidiaries have been formed to address various gaps in the system. I can say, because as we come across there is an issue in a particular sector, there is a need for focus, and then the subsidiaries have been created. And then we have a balance sheet size of about USD about 100 billion. And further details, I think all of anybody can go through our website, that is nabard.org. So when it comes to developmental broad functions of NABARD, we mainly have the financial related issues, and then developmental functions, supervisory function, and other functions of NABARD. When it comes to financial, we have a unique product called the refinance. So refinance is a product where we provide refinance to the all class of banks, that is commercial banks, regional rural banks, both private sector and then public sector, and then NBFC, small finance banks, and then cooperative banks. So we provide refinance to them. That is our traditional product that is available to supplement the financial resources of the banks. That's the idea of providing refinance. And then this direct finance is a kind of a new phenomenon which has evolved because of the requirement in the system. In the direct finance, mainly you can see that infrastructure financing to the state governments, because infrastructure in agriculture and rural development is is essential requirement for attracting private investment and also the boosting the rural economy. In fact, the rural infrastructure is a kind of a multiplier effect over the entire rural ecosystem. So we provide direct finance support to the state governments for creating infrastructure, both in agriculture. That is, agriculture includes all allied activities, that is irrigation, then flood control, drinking, fisheries, animal husbandry. In fact, in fishery sector, we have financed a lot of fish landing centers, and then fish seed hatcheries, and then fish farms, seed farms. So that the seed farms are important infrastructure, and also access roads to the coastal villages. That is a very important thing, because the accessibility to the coastal areas, proper bridges and roads, that is also done. And in addition to that, the social infrastructure like education, health, and drinking water, housing. So all these things are being directly financed through the state governments for creating infrastructure. So that is the broad functions under the financial functions. Under the developmental functions, you can see that important function is institutional development. That is development of the capacity of the financial institutions, like the especially the rural financial institutions, which are lacking the both capacity in terms of manpower and also the physical infrastructure, networking. In fact, the central CBS system of the banks are being supported through that. And then there is a farm sector development, where a lot of developmental works are being incubated and then upscaled. So in fact, most of the part of the profit of NABARD is being flowed back into this kind of a social incubation, social enterprise, where we incubate some of the concepts, and then once successful, they are being upscaled. So when they are upscaled, then that's being made as developed as a product for the banking sector to follow it on. And then when there is a kind of hesitation from the banking sector because of the new product, then that's the place where we have gone for promoting our subsidiaries, so that they will be able to demonstrate how these products can be financed, so that the banking industry will get the confidence that we are able to, it's all, we can able to finance those products. So like that, in fact, under climate change also, we have taken a lot of initiative, and NABARD is the accredited entity for Adaptation Fund Board, and then Green Climate Fund, and also our national funding mechanism under National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change. Under all these windows, about channelized about around 800 crores of rupees has been disbursed, and 1,800 crores is the portfolio of climate finance related activities available under this climate funding. When it comes to subsidiaries, so we have a subsidiary called NAB Kisan. NAB Kisan is the subsidiary which is now we have promoted for financing FPOs. And then, in fact, NABARD has started the concept of FPOs during 2011. And then, over a period of time, this FPO concept has evolved in a very big way. And then NABARD alone has promoted about 5,000 FPOs across the country in the agriculture sector, which includes the fishery sector also. If you're coming to the fishery sector, I think around some 50 FPOs in fishery sectors being formed, and then many are under formation and registration process. And then for farming these FPOs also, we have various roles, and I'll be subsequently coming to that. And then NABFINS, there is another subsidiaries which is involved in the microcredit for self-help groups, and then MFIs, and then NBFC MFIs, which is financed directly through NABFINS, in addition to the refinance support for all the banking institutions for microfinance activities. So this is the direct finance wing. And then there is a NABARD consultancy services wing, which is providing consultancy both in India and abroad, and various activities related to agriculture, rural development, microcredit, financial inclusion, all these activities. In addition to that, there is NAB Ventures. NAB Ventures is a subsidiary for promoting agri startups. So because nowadays, as all of us know, that the startups are playing a very important role in technology transfer, both in fintech, agri-tech, aquatech, whatever areas the startups are playing important role, and then they are finding it difficult to get the proper financial support for them when they transition from their proof of concept or they are upscaling their activities. So, we thought there is a need for supporting the agricultural startups in the agri-tech and fintech sectors, and then even food technology and all those kind of related to agriculture sector. They are playing very important role. And then NAB Foundation is also a subsidiary formed for channelizing the CSR component of the corporates, because the corporate CSR has been made now as a compulsory activity for private companies, and then the companies are finding difficult to invest their CSR money, or in fact we want the CSR money to come into the agriculture rural development sector so that to supplement the efforts of the formal banking system for the development of this thing. So that's why the NAB Foundation has been formed. Of course, this NAB Samrakshan is again formed for providing credit guarantee support. For example, now about 1,000 crores of money has been kept as in the trust for providing credit guarantee for financing FPOs. And then when I am telling FPOs, it is broad terms. I'm not specifically telling about fish farmers. Fish farmers produce FPO. FPO means as a generic term, and then it is applicable to the fish farmers producer society also, organization also. So that's what when I come into the broad developmental functions, you can say that rural financial institutions, that they are being supported for the core banking system, then capacity building, and then training of the rural financial institutions. Then under the farm sector, we have various interventions related to watershed development, tribal development, and then all other gamut of farm sector, off-farm sector, because off-farm sector also plays very important role in providing kind of employment or livelihood opportunities for the people in the rural area. Then climate change, I already told that we have the National Implementing Entity for Adaptation Fund Board, and then Green Climate Fund, and then NAFCC. And then when it comes to financial inclusion, I already touched upon the various initiatives at NABARD in the financial inclusion also. When it comes to the fisheries sector, I think Suchitra has already touched upon the role and importance of the fisheries sector, both in as a producer of the fish for the nutritional requirement, and also the food security and nutrition security, income, and then employment opportunities for people, and then its economic contribution in India. And then the traditional and the small scale fisheries are, and though they are not producing the volume, but it's very important that their livelihood and their contribution is very important. So they are fragmented, unorganized. So very important, they should be provided some platform for collectivization of their efforts so that they are able to manage their sector. Then there is an issue of overcapitalization of coastal fisheries. I think that's a very common phenomenon. And then sustainable yield both in marine and inland waters also, we are almost in India, they are all reaching maximum level. Then aquaculture also affected by various biotic, abiotic factors which are putting pressure on the again fishermen. And also the climate change, loss of biodiversity, changes in species composition, all those things are the common problems being faced by the fishery sector, which is again kind of a common access platforms, that's resources, so that all kinds of conflicts are there. So even in fish production, we can see that this aquaculture, which was contributing less than about 5% of the total production, now reached about 50% of total production. So that means contribution of aquaculture is increasing, though the production of capture fisheries is kind of almost reaching the saturation level. And then if you can see the growth rate, compounded annual growth rate, and that's capture fisheries is about 3%, and aquaculture is at 9.3%, and then the overall CAGR is about 4.2% for the total fish production. And this data, fish production data, I have taken from FAO only. There may be minor variation in the data what is available from the statistical handbook of published by Government of India. Here, one significant issue I wanted to highlight is the share of marine fisheries in Indian production is, which was once about 65%. It has come down to 36% now. Whereas in globally, you can see the marine fisheries is accounting for 65%. So that means the population which are depending upon the marine sector, they are being left behind kind of thing in the development. So this is the issue I wanted to highlight, and that makes them they are also vulnerable. And then the ecosystem services and livelihoods of the marine fisheries, especially the traditional and small scale fishermen, they are being not onboarded on the total economic developmental process. So that's what just I wanted to highlight this issue. So coming to the financing fisheries sector, as I already told that we have a conventional credit product, which is we have a very strong credit planning mechanism that is called the potential linked credit plan, which for every district, every year we prepare the potential linked credit plan based upon the potential available, and then that is being shared with all the entire banking system, so that they should plan their credit delivery mechanism, then monitoring and coordination of the credit and delivery for the sector. Then term loans for asset creation, that is investment in capture fisheries, culture fisheries, logistics, processing and marketing. Where if you take marine fisheries, I think 60 to 70% of the motorization and then mechanization of the traditional crafts was done by with assistance from NABARD over a period of time for the last some 20-30 years. Then in addition to that, we provide exclusive working capital requirement, that is a production credit, and we introduced a product called Kisan Credit Card, so that the farmers, they can credit limit is sanctioned whenever they need, they can draw upon from the sanctioned credit limit. That's a new product called the Kisan Credit Card. So these are the traditional products, and then we have innovations in credit delivery. As all of you know that microcredit, as Suchitra has already mentioned about, the largest microfinance initiative is done by NABARD, which is covering about having about more than 1 crore self-help groups, which includes the women from the fishermen also. So then in addition to that, there is a joint liability groups, and joint liability groups are also very vital and important in the coastal area, especially in the marine sector, because in fact these are all a kind of a collateral substitute or a kind of social intervention kind of thing, where the gender are also being focused. When it comes to farmer producer organization or farmer producer company, it's mostly a collectivization to reach the scale. And then here, as I told you, we already promoted about 5,000 farmer producer organizations, and then and in fishery sector about 50 or 60 farmer producer organizations are being promoted, and many are in the formation. For financing infrastructure, we have 2 products. One I told you, there is a RIDF, Rural Infrastructure Developmental Fund, and then infrastructure development in fishery sector also. We have a focused separate fund available for that, and then climate change I already touched upon. So when coming to the farmer producer organization, I think I will not go very much in detail about the FPO's concept. I think almost maybe most of the people will be having idea. Then the issues here I want to touch upon is, since fisheries is a kind of open access resources, and then we always talk about the participatory management of the system. The farmer producer organization is providing a kind of a platform, kind of a institutional structure at the grassroots level for managing the resources at the local level. So this is what very important, that fish farmers producer organization can play an important role. In addition to that, there are services in credit linkage, market orientation, processing, value addition, reducing post-harvest loss, biodiversity conservation, and then.
Sorry to intervene, Dr. Palanisamy, we have 2 more minutes.
Yeah,
so if you can touch upon the most important slides.
Yeah, right.
Thank
so
you.
this is very important. And then I think I covered about the various support provided by NABARD in the development of the FPO ecosystem. And then further details you can see from the websites of Department of Fisheries. There is a Prime Minister's Matsya Sampada Yojana, where about 10,000 FPOs are likely to be produced across the country under agriculture sector, where more focus is given for fisheries sector also. So NABARD's vision for this thing, I will not touch our discuss on this. So this is the one of the case study where how this FPO concept is helped the fishermen in addressing their marketing issues. That is how to they dealt with the middlemen, and the middlemen both in the price and then the weighment of the catches, and also how they are able to channelize the credit support. So this is a study conducted by IPSET. So with this, just I am just ending my presentation, and I'm open for and available for any kind of questions also from any of the participants. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Palanisamy, for sharing the information on how NABARD is changing its products based on the requirements, as well as providing the overview on the various subsidiaries of NABARD that are involved, particularly for the climate change, the startup operations in the agricultural and fishery technologies. And it was also good that you highlighted the issues related with the marine production side, which also needs to be considered, as you correctly mentioned. So thank you so much for the beautiful presentation and the information. We're running slightly behind time, so I would like to quickly move on to the next speaker. So we have Dr. Sanjay Sarma. He's a senior fishery officer of Department of Fisheries, Government of Assam. And Dr. Sarma is associated for the last decade as State Fisheries Coordinator for Inland Fisheries Development in Assam, which is a World Bank funded project on Assam Agriculture Competitiveness Project. It's called AACP. And it has a component of Assam Agribusiness and Rural Transformation Project. That's a part. Dr. Sarma is also actively involved with popularizing the nutrition of small fish under the APART project with active support from World Fish. He has also visited 6 South Asian countries, particularly Bangladesh, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Indonesia, and Myanmar, to get first-hand exposure and experience to implement best practices in fisheries and aquaculture. Under Dr. Sarma's guidance, 20 fish farmer producer companies are working in the field on fisheries, mainly focused on quality seed, fish seed and fish feed productions. Dr. Sarma has a master's in fisheries resource management from the Central Institute of Fisheries Education, Mumbai, and a PhD degree in fisheries from Guwahati University. So over to you, Dr. Sarma, for fisheries development in Assam through institutional finance.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Am I audible now?
Yes, Dr. Sarma.
Yes, yes. Then thank you, Suchitra. And then can I go?
Sure. You want us to share the presentation?
Yeah. Please share this presentation from your end. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Before that,
yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Please go for this next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. Then thank you to all because I am going to elaborate this in Assam. Mainly, this one of the richest water resource state in India. and it is in Assam. It's having near about this 3.1 lakh water resources are there. It is exclusively for fresh water resources, and this largest freshwater resource in India. Mainly, this predominant is this Oxbow Lake, which is locally called here is a bill fisheries. It is an Oxbow Lake and this pond fisheries. These two resources are predominant in the state of Assam, and then it is known to all that 95 to 96% people of the state, this population is near about this 30 million population. That 95% people are fish eater, and near about this 14 to 15 kg fish per annum per adult is taking annually, and then and this total water resource I have already been mentioned is 3.1 lakh. Next slide, please. Yeah, this requirement of fish, suppose annual requirement of fish, then total fish production is near about from all these resources is 4.08 lakh metric ton, and then requirement of fish, if we consider this 11 kg per individual per annum, its requirement is 4.20 lakh metric ton per annum, and then this gap deficit is now it is 0.12 lakh metric ton. But I am happy to say that this difference, suppose if we see this suppose export and import graph, then now it is this fish coming from this neighboring states are now coming down, and we are going to export to fish to other suppose northeast region states like this Manipur, then Nagaland, then Arunachal, or like that. And then now it has been increased. It is due to proper utilization of these water resources available in the state from the initiation of this World Bank funded project from 1995 through area society. Then area society, if, next slide please. If we go for this, this area society, it is the Assam Rural Infrastructure and Agriculture Service Society. It's a government society, and they for bringing this green and blue revolution to Assam through this World Bank Finance project. This is project coordination unit units are there. It is called this area society. It is a government registered society, and which are associated since 1995 in Assam for implementing or coordinating this World Bank funded project, particularly in agriculture sector. And in Assam, this fishery is the main part under this agriculture sector, though a lot of suppose organizations are involved in this World Bank funded project, particularly then animal husbandry, fisheries, sericulture, and then horticulture, etc. are there along for this agriculture sector. But this fisheries is the primarily it is this role is main in case of this Assam. Next slide, please. Yeah, if we see the association of this area society for implementing this World Bank funded project since 1995, these first areas, these comments, it is a World Bank funded project, and then it has been completed by 2004. Then 10 years it was this project, and then by 2005. AACP means Assam Agriculture Competitiveness Project. It is comments, and then it complete by 2015. Then suppose it was initially for 7 years, and then it has been extended for additional 3 years, and it is called AACP AF, means additional financing, and it has been completed by 2015. With this satisfactory suppose rating from this World Bank, and then from 2015 to 2018, some suppose new project preparation period was there. It is called this APART, Assam Rural Infrastructure. It is one of the it is APART, Assam project for agriculture and reform technology. And then from 2018 to 2024, this APART project will be this suppose been continued. This fisheries is the main component under this APART also. Then if we see these overall suppose objectives of this ASCP, then the main objective was the stimulated growth of Assam's agriculture economy. And suppose to increase this competitiveness among poor and marginal communities, farmers depend on fish for primary and secondary income as an effort, and to elevate this poverty, because this in Assam, this suppose more than 70% people are associated in this agricultural activity, and near about 40% people are associated in fisheries activity. That's why this sector, this fisheries sector, as well as this agriculture peoples are basically they are these poor people, and that's why to elevate this poverty from the state, the main objectives of this ASCP, and successfully it has been suppose this challenge has been taken under this project, and near about 20,000 suppose farmers directly or indirectly. Out of that, this 30% women are also there, directly or indirectly. It was benefited through this project. Next slide, please. Yeah, if we see the target and achievement of this ASCP, then we have seen that suppose target we have already been suppose achieved within this stipulated 10 years, and then this productivity level is also been increased. But initially, this if we go this next slide, and then we can say, then suppose this initially this suppose pond means this is small every household ponds, because small ponds are available in Assam. Every household is having one small pond at least. Then this productivity level was very less in this pond. During this baseline survey, we found that near about 500 kg production per hectare per year was there. And then after intervention of this project, is productivity goes up to 3,100 kg, and on an average it has been in 3,000 kg. And then suppose initially first year, suppose due to this project intervention, it goes to 3 ton per hectare per year productivity. And after this removal of this project also, the sustainability has been maintained. This is a very good sign of this ASCP. Still, this suppose ASCP, suppose ponds, they are producing this fish near about 3 to 4 tons production. Suppose after suppose closing of this project, now it has been 5 years already been gone, but this production and productivity level, they are these farmers, they are maintaining this production and productivity level up to this sustainable manner. This is a very good sign. And under this APART, suppose that time, suppose ASCP, this last part of this ASCP, then we formed some farmers producers organization. That time we formed suppose farmers producers organization. 15 farmers producers organization we formed under this project ASCP. And this APART, in this new project is APART, we have already been established farmer producers company, not this farmers producers organization. Some limitations are there in farmers producers organization. That's why we have already been formed this farmers producers company, and existing farmers producers organization is been converted to this farmers producers companies also. Now in this state, under our direct supervision, under this World Bank funded project APART, we are having 20 very active farmers producers companies are there. suppose in each farmers producers company is having 500 on an average 500 members are there. They are small and marginal farmers, 500 farmers, and then total suppose 10,000 farmers are directly associated in this 20 farmers producers company in this Assam. Mainly, these farmers producer, what they are doing, I would like to say, suppose main constant of Assam for fish production is number one, this unavailability of quality fish seed. This is the main problem because here water resources are available. Then every household is having one pond. That is true. The market demand is there. But main thing is that this quality fish seed, though fish seed production is also this Assam is self-dependent and quality fish seed. But main problem is and this is suppose FPC under the part. Main problem, two problems are there. Number one problem is that unavailability of fish seed. Then we address under this project through FPCs how we could improve this quality of fish seed. Because we have already been attached them to the National Brood Bank of Orissa, fish suppose farmers producers companies, and then they are now these FPCs are now bringing this pond from this Orissa to Assam, and now they have raised them this quality suppose seed, mainly this high-yielding variety, this Amur carp, the anti-rohu, improved katla. And last year, from these 20 FPCs, they brought this spawn. Though these are this suppose these FPCs, they brought 20 crores fish from this suppose different parts of this country, and their additional profit is that this growth is 20 to 30% higher than this normal growth of our fish. And number two advantage is that they make this sustainability, because suppose they are earning also 20 to 30% suppose profit is there by raising this quality fish seed. That's why both win-win situation has been suppose seen here. And then
Dr. Sarma, we have 2 more minutes. So just tell us which are the main slides that you want to highlight and share that information, please.
Yeah. Then next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. Yeah. These are these suppose FPCs who are associated in this quality fish seed. Next slide, please. Yeah. Yeah. These are some activities of these FPCs, because main problems in Assam is this quality fish seed as well as this suppose fish feed produced by these local ingredients. Because many people, our farmers, they are interested to suppose raise this fish feed prepared under this local ingredients, because their protein insecurity is there. Because normally for this carp, this 20% protein is more than enough. That's why they are now engaged this fish feed production by these local ingredients. Next, please. Yeah, these are the seed bank now established under this FPC seed bank already been established. It is a new concept in Assam. The seed bank already been established through FPCs. Next, please. Yeah. Then aquatourism, through this FPCs, some new concept is there. Now aquatourism has been also restored under this FPCs. Next, please. Yeah, and then now this new concept also been established through our project is that paddy cum fish culture. This paddy is the high-yielding stress tolerance variety. It is in Bina 11, and then along with this paddy, suppose some Amur carp has already been suppose which is high-yielding variety. That's Amur carp and this Bina 11 variety. Suppose this stress tolerance variety, combination of this stress tolerance variety as well as this Amur carp is now been produced, and then adoption rate is also been high, which has been demonstrated through our this project of effort to these FPC members. Next, please. Next, yeah. Then we have already been established this freshwater prawn, because it is this new freshwater prawn in these FPCs. Now these FPC members, they are doing this freshwater prawn, because main problem is that there is no hatchery for freshwater prawn in Assam because it requires this saline water. That's why they are bringing this species from this nearest states from suppose West Bengal as well as this Odisha. Now it has been flourished, which is doing this farmers of this FPC under APARD. Next, please. Yeah. Here also during this ASAP, this productivity was at that time 3 tons. It was good. Now this production and productivity been increased up to 5.2 tons per hectare per year because by using of this suppose high yielding variety as well as suppose improved strain variety of this fish seed as well as this quality of fish feed also been improved now. That's why it is production and productivity been increased under this project. Next, please. Yeah, and then introduction of this small fish. It is and then these women they are involved. Our FPC women are involved. This is from the dry fish as well as this fish pickle under this direct supervision of this College of Fisheries under Assam Agriculture University. It is a very good sign because these women they are now being associated of this value-added products of this fish, and then which has been introduced this small indigenous species of this mola. This is small indigenous species which is available in these paddy fields as well as the bill fisheries doing by these FPCs members. Next, please. Yeah, and then thank you very much. Then in the last but not the least, I would like to say that this FPCs, mainly this farmers research company in Assam, now it is been flourished daily. Suppose some groups are coming forward to a part or like that. We are also going to form this farmers research company. How it will be happen or like that. That's why our target now it has been increased. Initially it was in 20. Now it has been increased to 50 numbers, and then coming 3 years we'll go for another 30 numbers FPCs, and then our target is to involve then 20,000 in between 20 to 25,000 suppose small farmers. How we could suppose incorporate them under this FPCs, and in this regard, suppose some or suppose financial institutes, banks, suppose this NABARD or like that, and then some international organization and help. Definitely, it will be required. And I am hopeful that suppose under this guidance of this suppose various international organization or bank, finance or like that, then this FPCs movement which will be flourished in this Assam Northeast region will definitely be flourished, and they will be sustained. And from the sustainable manner, they will go forward for this production of this small indigenous species in Northeast region. Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarma, for giving such an elaborate presentation and overview on the successful fish farmer producer organizations, particularly in such a difficult terrain, Northeast, and integrating fisheries with rice and other integrated farming practices which are there. And it's also interesting to see that how the billabong or the lake-like wetlands with static waters are also being utilized for the fisheries and for the fisheries and aquaculture activities. So, so now we'll move to the next presentation. We're running short of time. So I would, even before introducing, I would just like to request Dr. Kohli that just keep it short and stick to the main slides.
And Ms. Upare, we can skip the introduction. I'll get on with it now.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
So to start off with, let me, while I share the slide, pass on regrets of the MD, Mr. Sandeep Naik. There was some urgent travel that he could not avoid. I'm standing in his place, and if you can all see my presentation in full screen, I'll be starting now.
Yes, we can.
Number one, I'm here on behalf of NCDC, which is not a bank. It's one of the lending entities. It's a corporation, a development corporation set up at the apex level by the government. However, it's a non-grantee organization where it sources its own funds through its own corpus, issuing of NCDC bonds and commercial market borrowing. Nevertheless, cumulative. You can mute.
Can you
Mr.
request
Sarma,
all
you're still on.
Mr. Budhika, can you please,
Okay.
can you please?
Yes.
Okay, we have
Thank
silence
you.
now. So the force of NCDC as a commercial entity, as a corporation, a development corporation, about 20 locations pan India, and I won't. We'll skip through the presentation as fast as possible. But important part, source of funds is its own and market borrowings. In the cumulative financial assistance has been of more than. I think again there is somebody. Anyway, in the last 7 years alone, NCDC has disbursed loans of more than $17.7 billion. 94% of its sanctioned amount was released and is released annually, and it has a net zero NPA, which can be attributed to its prudent appraisal system, very effective monitoring, but more importantly, other non-credit interventions that bridge the gap in certain critical areas. So NCDC augments credit with non-credit support. I also need to flag off the fact that this net near zero NPAs is also a very important say about fish farmers or other farmers or cooperatives who have been unnecessarily maligned. They honor the relationship with NCDC because not just because of the credit, but the non-credit support that comes across. The NCDC has very focused products and schemes of its own as well. These are various. I'll not run through them. Suffice to say, if it has an internship program, it also has a startup program for cooperatives. If it is providing healthcare initiatives, it also has an option for digitalizing of operations across cooperatives. If it's digitalizing, there's cyber security advisory forum it has set up. There's an export activity support and there's an export promotion council. And it has a knowledge building and capacity building asset, a body that it under it, which is the LINAC. And in this session, I will tell you more about the non-credit support happening. Idea being to foster various needs across cooperative sectors. Focused products are largely domain agnostic. Now we are here for fisheries. So beyond this general introduction about NCDC, let's focus on the fisheries aspect. It's the implementing agencies of key national programs in fisheries sector. The PMMSY, which the NABARD gentleman spoke of earlier, is an investment program of more than $2.7 billion over 5 years. NCDC is one of the implementing partners. It has implements the Fisheries Infrastructure Development Fund, a size of about $1 billion, which provides interest subvention for fisheries infrastructure development. It is part of the promotion of fish farmer producer organizations, the FFPOs. The FPOs is an old concept that thousands around. The FFPO concept was mooted just about a year ago, launched a year ago, and the idea is to target 500 fish farmer producer organizations with certain equity support and certain funding which happens to it. Of course, as mentioned, the program and internal schemes that NCDC implements its own corporation-sponsored schemes, which include support, financial support, and training and capacity building. So in the fisheries sector, NCDC has sanctioned approximately $500 million in current value, having disbursed around $350 million of those lending components. But moving beyond credit now, the core of the agenda note here was how the concept note that was shared was also non-credit aspects. The range of credit support in the fisheries sector, I'm only now focusing on fisheries sector, is across a variety of areas: mega projects, mechanization, supply chain infrastructure, very key for empowerment, and digital empowerment. But besides the money it lens, NCDC also facilitates dovetailing of existing subsidy programs of the government wherever applicable. The frequent backstopping of projects in form of the project reports for credit purposes and in-house progress monitoring of the project is common and a regular practice. The FFPO concept, like I said, was initiated just about a year ago, and NCDC targets as an implementing agency the formation of 70 FFPOs in this financial year alone. 5 are already registered. FFPOs can be registered under the Cooperative Societies Act or under Companies Act. However, it should have a minimum number of members, 100 if it's in the plain areas, shoreline areas, and at least 35 members if it is in the hilly, hard to reach areas, but with the agenda that over time they will grow from 100 to 200 members and from 35 to 100. Yeah? Now, to make sure that it is not just the clubbing together of individual fishers, but bringing together better supply chain and business value to those people who get together, there is the concept of cluster-based business organizations which have been impaneled by NCDC, who provide these FFPOs, these newly formed FFPOs, professional support in specialized domains, such as how to operate their business, how to run their business, what sort of post-harvest management they need, social mobilization, law, accounts, marketing, IT, MIS, so on and so forth, right? And all of this helps give them more confidence in getting together. And there are also other support systems, such as, see, the whole idea is to build confidence in the artisanal fishers, the small-scale fishers in their ecosystem. That support is not limited to credit input alone. Credit is an important component, but it is not sufficient. So NCDC is part of the ecosystem, understands that. So it is now helping create an environment so that they are inspired to maximize, to have confidence in their ecosystem, and other support initiatives have taken place. Telemedicine facility, a pilot linked to 5 health centers, technology demonstration, and how to operationalize a business plan on ornamental fisheries. These are just key other aspects, non-credit aspects. Credit does go in, or some certain amount of funds have gone in here, but the agenda is bigger than that. Export promotion workshops have been happening, awareness programs, obviously, to make them aware of all the support systems available. But most importantly, a key lacuna that stands out was lack of business understanding under small-scale fishing. This led to NCDC establishing what it calls LIFEC. It's the first of its kind fisheries business incubation center, and the concept is that credit alone is not a sufficient condition. There has to be background knowledge around how to run a business. So this LIFEC, the LINAC NCDC Fisheries Business Incubation Centers, differentiated from conventional incubators, which are technology incubators. They help them develop a new product, a new recipe, some new tools to work with, but they do not support them in how to convert it into a commercial trade, into business. So LIFEC focuses on helping to structure, launch, handhold new business ventures, and then after the launch, help them navigate a myriad of market dynamics. So the aim is to organize early stage business initiatives by primary cooperatives, FFPOs, other startups, over a period of 2 to 3 years to foster success. The incubation is incubating not a product, but incubating a self-sustainable business, one that does not rely on subsidies to stand on its feet, one that does not always require overcapitalization. Yeah. So all those aspects are looked out here. So it provides knowledge, mentoring, and a monitoring mechanism to incubate business ideas into good business plans, then launch those plans and monitor the progress into sustainable business. I will be repeating here, but it is worth re-emphasizing. It's over a 2 to 3 year period. It's not a 1 year technology incubator or accelerator. It helps them create their business plan, launch their business, which also includes advice on how to register as an FFPO, what sort of resources and equipments they need to source, where to source it from, and then start doing that business. And then while they're doing their business, keep monitoring, maybe take some course correction, maybe marketing needs to be revised, maybe the inputs need to be revised, maybe manpower needs to be reduced or upped. So the guidance is across the board, from risk assessment, risk management, providing credit linkages for any funds they may need in the future, access to investors of venture capital, because there's a lot of interest there, even how to present themselves and their business and their brand, and various such aspects. This LifeX was launched just 6 months ago. Yeah. And the plan is also that once a few of these businesses start operating and running, there will be a second stage roadmap also provided to them for future business acceleration. The primary agenda is teach somebody to ride a cycle. You can't keep holding the cycle forever, correct? But later on, you can accelerate their efforts and then they can take part in the Olympics. So business acceleration is not part of LifeX. It's sustainable business, but it can tell them what are the next stages of business growth and expansion and what sort of things they need to position themselves in new products, locations, customers, diversification. The incubators can be recommended by FFPOs, cooperatives, self-help groups, or they can apply individually if they're associated with any of them online on the website. And like I said, it was launched just recently. Already 3 batches have completed their training. Initial training is in-house. During that training, free boarding, lodging, and stipend is provided to these incubators. Thereafter, there's certain field work. Then they go out and start operating their business, run their business, and then there's regular monitoring and support over a 2 to 3 year period. A 4th batch has already commenced its first stage education or capacity building recently. This process instills confidence to inspire the entrepreneurial spirit into positive action, not just to take credit. And it directs them towards ventures that are more likely to succeed and sustain. Mentoring of emerging businesses is by way of access to a range of specialized professional services, reviewing, refining business, marketing plans as they spearhead into existing markets or new markets, or even when they first initiate business operations. An entrepreneur has an idea, but there's nobody to guide them to make success of it. By the way, such periodic business reviews are a norm in organized business. You have the operating board or your general board, or you have senior people sitting and monitoring the game plan and revenue generation and profitability of a business. Here, there's a team of mentors who sit through it. The resource groups and faculties are across certain areas, importantly, supply chain, marketing, sustainability, law, operation services, integration with other agricultural sectors where possible. How to form an FFPO or a co-op? What sort of strengthening of skills is needed? How to identify markets and technologies for viability and for the certain maturity cycle? Business insight through senior cooperators, people who are already part of FFPOs, aquapreneurs, corporates, and experts with NCDC. The incubators, once they have a good business plan, it's validated, their project requirements are clear, get financial assistance from NCDC or from anywhere else. NCDC will then also dovetail it with other support programs. So the important takeaway here is capacity building is not merely to increase awareness of small-scale fish producers to access finance. It's not capacity building to access credit. Equally important and key is to build capacity to leverage that credit better. This means building understanding on market opportunities, capitalizing on technology and tools for maximum effect, fostering the initial steps so that they become partners in the larger supply chain. It also obviously helps mitigate unnecessary risks on credit that we provide them. Yeah, so there are various things. Related initiatives for the fisheries sector that happen at
Dr.
Line
Kohli, sorry, just last 1 minute.
Last
Please
one,
go.
yeah. So this
please.
also has a special focus on fisheries, 32 modules to train them. Modules are designed for target groups, whether leadership, key personnel, or functionaries of FFPOs. LINAC exists since 1985, but the focus on fisheries has been just recently. Since 85, almost 90,000 training hours, 20,000 participants have taken part. I'll end the presentation now by saying collectivization of fish farmers cannot be merely the clubbing together of input activities to bring economy of scale to ease input or credit uptake. It must also involve the collectivization of knowledge and expertise to build enhanced capacity so that they can efficiently leverage all those inputs and improve return on their outputs. While artisanal fishers, small-scale fishers are recognized as primary producers, they must also be fostered to become effective sellers of the value they produce. Hence, collectivization must empower the artisanal fishers with the ability to stand up and be valuable stakeholders in the fisheries supply chain. And Ms. Upare, I think I met your time limit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kohli, for sharing NCDC's role in supporting the fisheries credit and beyond focus of NCDC on the ecosystem and how the fisheries startups can leverage and foster the handholding for not just a short term, but for at least 2 to 3 years, as stated. And I hope this LINAC LIFIC Center is useful and beneficiaries can avail the benefits and build capacity to leverage the credit and beyond. So we will move to the next speaker who does not need an introduction. And I think Dr. Raymon has already shared the interview details and the article. So over to you, Dr. Prasun, on role of FFPOs in building socioeconomic resilience of small-scale fisheries in developing economies by the Africa Secretariat.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So without no wasting much of time, because I think we are beyond time, but I just wanted to give you a little bit idea what APRACA is currently following as a framework for understanding the role of FFPOs in building the socioeconomic resilience. That is very important because everybody is talking about the resilience, but we do have something to tell you about the resilience. I am not going into the I don't know why it is not going. Is it? Yeah, I'm not going into the defining the resilience in terms of why in case of the fish farmers, the small scale fish farmers, to be very specific. But there are socioeconomic resilience is a little bit different than the normal definition of resilience. I'm not going into this detail, but I would just like to concentrate on this hierarchy of socioeconomic resilient assessment part of it, which is very important. And we are advocating this with our member institutions on how to do the socioeconomic resilience assessment within this framework, and we consider it as into the 5 part of it. One is the goal. So first we define the goal of the socioeconomic resilience. Here the resilience assessment for communities involved in the fishing activities with special reference to the small scale fishes. Then the attributes. What are the attributes? We have the human resources, we have the physical assets, we have the financial assets, we have natural assets, and the social assets. Coming to the bottom level of it, that what are the human assets we are talking about here? And the manpower to work, type of house or dwelling houses specifically, equipments and machines. They're coming to the physical assets. Physical assets are landing centers, the fisherman landing stations, and then markets, roads, fish processing centers, or the fish market, the ice factories and cold storages. All these are business development services, and the physical in the form of physical assets. Financial assets, savings and credit, including insurance, then livestock and land, because that sometimes need to know to provide some more confidence within the system. And benefits from trading, what kind of benefit they're getting, not only the finance as Dr. Kohli was saying. Then natural assets. How many water bodies are there within the sea, rivers, as Assam was showing that they are full of rivers. And in the other parts, we have a lot of sea areas, abundance of fish, whether the fish are abundantly available, then forest and grasslands. That's also important to maintain the ecosystem. Then social assets, fish farmers association, cooperatives, social interrelationship and support system. So this is the last attribute, but not the least. But this is becoming more and more important in terms of this particular framework. Now coming to the process part of it, what do we want to do after we get all this information? We want to construct a comparison matrix. That this particular area do have this, so what kind of financial or physical assets are required, or what kind of attributes, what kind of a support they need, and then the weight and consistency ratio calculation. That this is a consistent area, these are not so consistent, so weights providing some weight, so that the financial assets will be providing more weights, or the social assets will be giving more weights. So all this weight and the ratio calculation, and finally the output is resilient assessment framework. So I would like to focus on this particular slide where we have developed this framework. I think we have just developed it, and we will be going forward and see how it is working. And the last slide is how the improved socioeconomic resilience and what are the role of FFPOs. On the right side of the screen, you will see the role, and on the left is the what are the fostering and what are the assessment of us. An increase in the value of index, the index what we are talking about in the previous slide, of SSF integration with the market. The better the SSF integrated with the market, the better and more stable the socioeconomic situation at the SSF level. So here, the role of the FFPOs are collectivization of small-scale fish farmer under the FFPO umbrella will help the market integration. So more the market integration, more no resilience. Second is an increase in the value of the products will reflect in the disposable income. Once there is a disposable income at the household level, there will be that will indirectly influencing their social situation. So we are not talking about only the economic part of it, but the social part of it as well. So here the role of FFPOs are potentially the most important institutional mechanism to support get higher price. The third part of it is an enhanced level of skills and capacity of the SSFs will help them to manage their activities on their own, like LIFA, as Dr. Kohli was talking about. So this kind of enhanced level of skills, but if the FFPO itself as a local level institution can offer this kind of a capacity building services to the SSFs, so that will be the final achievement of the whole exercise. I think I stop here. If you have any other questions, please let me know. And I request Suchitra to share the presentations with all of you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Suchitra.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Prasun, for sharing your thoughts on the resilient framework and how we can improve on this. So now the forum is open for discussion and any questions which you all would like to ask the panel of speakers. So I can see one question in the chat where it is for Dr. Sanjay Sarma. Dr. Sarma, are you there? It is on what is forest fishery, which is a new term, I suppose, or for participants are interested to know. Dr. Sarma? I think Dr. Sarma has left. Maybe I will just post this question to him and share it with the concerned participant. I think it's Mr. Prakash Das who has asked from NABARD this question. So there is one more question which is on Assam production increase under the Assam Agriculture Competitiveness Project.
Am I audible?
Yes.
I am Maruti Upare. I was actually working as an expert for this World Bank Fisheries project. This Assam, the production was increased from the before project, it was 800 kilogram, which has been increased to about 2,500 kilogram per hectare per year. So, I mean, it is a drastic change. How we could make it? The principle into that, most of the bankers, they don't give the adequate credit for the inputs. That is why the farmers are not able to do that. But in this Assam project, we have initiated that the complete adequate inputs cost should be given to them. So 80% was the subsidy and 20% was the only their labor cost into that. This is given only in the first year. Second year onwards, from the income which they got in first year, they will be doing it in substantially. So this is the lesson for the purpose of bankers, that adequate loan should be given for the inputs. That is why then only the production can increase, which has been shown that from 800 kilogram to 2,500 kilogram per hectare per year. This is just I wanted to bring to the notice of the bankers. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
One more, the NABARD, Palanisamy has not explained it. The potential linked credit plan, which is done in India itself, nowhere in the world any banks does this job. The basic principle is that there are 5 steps. First step is to work out the credit for available resources. If any prime minister wants to know that how much credit is required, you can just tell that this much credit is required to develop all things. Then second stage is to bring that to the inputs. How many inputs available in your country or the district or whatever is there. Then third is the infrastructure. How much infrastructure is available. After that, how the marketing system and input and consumption is there. Based on that, credit can be worked out. And last is the banks. How many banks are there? How much they can give the credit? So for each district, each talukas, each country, each state, this credit planning is done. Every year this exercise is done in India. This is the most innovative idea in the credit planning is concerned in India, which can be replicated in other countries. Thank you.
Okay. So I think if there are no more questions, maybe because
Hello.
it's just like, yes.
I have a question regarding insurance for the small scale fisheries. Do the small scale fisheries enjoy insurance facilities?
That is something that we would like to know from the bankers, are they also providing insurance to small scale fisheries, or the government representation over here?
May I come in here?
Yes,
Suchitra?
please. Yes.
Yes. Yes, Hassan Chisti, your
Yes.
question is very important. We had one of our network member, Madam, I can't see her now, Madam Papia.
Papia Rahman is there?
Papia Rahman is there, so she can give you right answer. But to be, so far my knowledge is concerned, and with the bank and also with the insurance sector, as such, there are insurance available, but only for the machines or the gears, fishing gears, but not for their catch. For example, if you have a agriculture insurance, you are getting insurance for the crop. But in
Yes.
case of the fisheries, they don't have any insurance for the crops. So they have the insurance for their equipments and machines, but not for the crops. So that is one of the major issue here. And we are also now working closely with our member banks on how to integrate the credit and insurance. For example, in case of agriculture, we did it. We already, most of the banks are following insurance as a third-party product along with the credit that they integrate and bundle it together. So similar bundling, we are promoting this kind of a bundling of insurance for the small-scale fishes. Thank you. If Papiak, Madam Papiak, want to come in, you are welcome, ma'am.
Okay. So if
Thank you.
Papia, are you there? I don't see her. Just to add more information, so for small scale fisheries in general, or aquaculture insurance for small scale producers also, worldwide, there is maximum only 3% of aquaculture insurance which has been implemented. So this is a very, the area of, a lot of work needs to be done. And through our network, we are trying to have a dialogue and discussion with the insurers and reinsurers also to come in and see how this, like other agriculture crop, how aquaculture insurance also can be provided, as just shared by Dr. Raymon also, that 90% are small scale fishers. So that's one area of working. And also on the marine fisheries side, as I said, it's only the crafts and gears which are this, and not the catch, which has been insured so far. And even beyond that, the hazards, the professional hazards which come with the insurance, to the fishers, particularly the fish harvesters who are involved in the value chain. So there also life cycle and the professional hazards, how they can be covered under the insurance. For example, if it's a jellyfish poisoning which is there, or if it's a stingray bite, how can they also be insured? So these are the areas, some of the areas which we are trying to promote and have a dialogue with insurers and see how we can build capacity and sensitize the insurance industry on these matters. So this is one of the major focus of the CAFI-SSF network also.
May I just add something here, Pawnesh? So when we're talking about insurance, the question was preordained towards ensuring production, correct? But like you've touched, there is life insurance, there's medical insurance, there's equipment insurance, there's insurance on the operations that they undertake, such as in trucking, so on and so forth. So when we talk about fisheries insurance, we should not be prejudged by the aspect of only production. Number two, the best insurance, no matter how much you can put in as much credit for inputs and increase the production. What is the typical market scenario? The more you produce, the less income you get, because your production is largely targeted at near source markets. And hence there is a surplus within a local demand area. So the whole idea, the best way to ensure small-scale fishers is one, to get them together as collectivize them, their operations, and collectivize their outputs so that they can collectively go beyond their existing limited market radius. If you're selling to the same market and you happen to produce more because you happen to get more credit or good weather, you actually reduce the price. There's an inverse relationship between production and your existing markets. The solution to this, to build their resilience and all that, is to expand their marketing range, to make them strong participants in supply chain activities. Their individual inputs are obviously the value chain components, but the value chain has no meaning without riding on a supply chain and reaching as far across to where demand is more acute. Thanks.
So just to give more information, there is also recently published a document of FAO on the World Review of Capture Fisheries and Aquaculture Insurance, which just got published last year. And we're going to talk more and more on that over the months. So Dr. Raymon has already shared that. And this document also has a particular chapter on India's scenario on the capture fisheries and aquaculture insurance in detail, giving the different insurance services that are provided to in the sector. This is just for your information. So if there are no more questions coming up, Dr. Prasun, should we close the session?
Sorry, I was muted.
Okay. So I said, with your kind permission, if there are no more questions coming, maybe this is, people are still absorbing, and it's a relatively, I wouldn't say a new topic, but certainly a lot of information has been shared in this webinar. So I would suggest that if there are more questions, please feel free to write to the CAFI-SSF network, or even Dr. Raymon VanAnrooy, or even Dr. Prasun, who is there. We'll be happy to share more information through the network. You can also post your questions on our LinkedIn webpage also, which we'll be happy to answer anytime. And we will be also sharing all the presentations, as there has been a request from all the participants that please share the presentation. And as we go along, there are a couple of publications also that have been published to the CAFI-SSF network in recent months. So we'll also email you all that. So please don't think we're bombarding you with information, but we will be sharing the information continuously with you all. And all those organizations which have still not become our members, please do become our members at this point. Membership is free. And please let us know how you would like to contribute in terms of knowledge sharing in each of the regions within the sector. So with this, I would, it's a little late, but thank you thank you to all of you all, particularly our chief guest, Dr. Raymon, who in spite of his busy schedule, he took the time and has stayed with us from the beginning. Then also Dr. Prasun, who has been supporting the CAFI-SSF network since the beginning. As well as our other speakers, Dr. K. Palanisamy, Dr. Sanjay Sarma, Dr. Kohli, who came in at the last minute on behalf of Dr. Sandeep Kumar Naik to share the insights and overview of particularly the LINAC and LIFIC Center, which is a very interesting initiative that is being implemented. So thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot to all of you. I can see Nadeem. Yeah, thanks, Nadeem. Oh, Izumi.
Thank you.
Izumi,
thank you, Mr. Izumi, for joining.
Yeah.
Thank you, Suchitra, and thank you, Dr. Prasun Kumar.
Thank you, Dr. Sarma.
After sir.
Thank you from TMSS Bangladesh. I'm Mr. Salam. MSS.
Yes. Salam sahib, bhalo achen to?
Bhalo aছি.
Good.
Apni bhalo aছেন?
Ekdom, first class. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.